All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to Market Vision, a stream where we go through the news, the charts, and our feelings. Today, I'm joined by Yikesgg. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, guys.
And Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning to you both. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling today?
I'm good. I'm excited for the stream. I'm excited for next week. I'm excited for hearing what we're going to talk about today. Yikes' opinions, your opinions, my opinions, and hopefully this is the first of many.
Hopefully so. Yes, absolutely. I think obviously we can fodder and we can waste people's time and spend 2 hours on the stream, or do we want to just get straight into it?
Mike.
All right, should we introduce the topics first and what we're doing, and then we can go into it?
Yeah, you do the introduction, and then I'll go through the topics of the week.
Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be talking about the breaking news. We only have two topics here, and then we're kind of going to segue really quickly into just the charts and the markets as a whole, how we're feeling about the cycle, what we think is going on, and when and what we think the all-time high will be. After all that intro, we will then go on to the charts and have a discussion. It will be mostly my charts. Obviously, I will not talk for 45 minutes per chart, as you guys probably know I do on my own streams, but we will be having a discussion about it and going through it, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So if we do want to jump onto the breaking news, Mike, do you want to intro the first topic?
Yep, absolutely. I think the first thing I want to talk about today, I got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about this in the week, and that's the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And I think Thursday this week, Besant came out on CNN and sat there and said, we're not going to be buying Bitcoin. And the market reaction to that piece of news was clickbaity at best and horrific at worst. And the reason I got a bee in my bonnet about this is that the purchase of the 1 million Bitcoin by the American government is on what's called a net cost of zero to the American public. And that has been the case since day one. And what that means is, if they seize $100 million worth of Bitcoin from, say, North Korea, that $100 million worth of Bitcoin goes into the strategic reserve. The target of that strategic reserve is 1 million Bitcoin by the end of this president's tenure. Now, there are other assets that will be seized, and this is where he was wrong. There are other assets that will be seized, maybe Ethereum, maybe XRP, maybe even gold or other precious metals. Those assets will be sold off and converted to Bitcoin and added to the strategic reserve. Maybe not all of them, but a chunk of them, a sizable chunk of them will be. And what annoyed me about this, and what really got my goat up, was the fact that people read the headline, the American government is not going to buy Bitcoin. And that is disingenuous. And he got it wrong himself. He actually came out after the CNN interview, and he said himself, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be acquiring Bitcoin. It means that we're going to be acquiring it net zero, basically no cost to the American public. And Trump said this. Cynthia Lummis has said this. He says it on camera, and suddenly you've got all these shocked little snowflakes crying into their milk that nobody's going to buy their Bitcoin and they're all going to be poor for the rest of their lives. And the simple fact is, they don't use their ears and they don't use their eyes. And that's the issue. And this kind of shock culture of being offended by everything has spilled over into crypto, and it's absolute BS. Minding my language on this, Yikes and Oracle. I'm trying to stay focused. Now, Yikes, I don't know if you've heard about this. Have you seen the market reaction to this? Have you got any opinion on it?
I seen what's going on with the market, but to be honest, when I seen this, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know that there's such news appeared. And a quick question, guys. I just want to ask those who's watching the stream. Can you tell me about this, about sound levels? Is good?
That's a good point, actually.
You can hear everything.
Can you guys hear the Meet audio as well on YouTube and so on and so forth? Because obviously it looks fine on my end, and I assume it looks fine on the Yikesgg end as well. But obviously, if anything goes wrong, please let us know.
One other thing, we're going to be giving away Syrup USDC on YouTube And Yikes is giving away red packets on Binance Square as well. And if you want to win the $10 on YouTube, all you've got to do is ask questions in chat, and the best question will be given the $10, which we'll all decide at the end. So ask questions in chat, and we will give you a prize. Sorry. So, I mean, Yikes, the market, we hit all-time high, and then this news came out, and we've started to come back down a little bit. Do you think this is going to wear off, this news? Do you think it's something that's just going to peter out and then we'll carry on up next week?
I think we'll get back to like normal market to the previous, let's say 120,000 next week, most likely. That's what I want to believe in. So far, it's kind of bad because we can see Bitcoin, some Solana, BNB, market is red, everything going down. But like Solana memes, feeling so bad, and I hold some of them. I want it back.
The thing is with I said this on Friday. I said, if you're feeling bad at this moment in time, then you're not holding the bags of Ethereum. I actually was a little bit ruder than that, but I said you're not holding the right bags of Bitcoin and Ethereum, because you're going to feel like Warren Buffett in 4 months' time when all of your meme coins have 100x'd. Yikes! So don't feel too bad today. It's all going to improve and get better as we get towards the end of the year.
I hope so. What about you?
Me?
How's
or the Oracle?
Both of you.
Our portfolio, the crypto warehouse portfolio, we're at all-time highs, because we were swinging the Ethereum bell for most of this year and most of last year, to the point where people were starting to laugh and say, it's been the same price for the last 60 years, it hasn't changed. And then all of a sudden it's 3x'd in a month, 4,500 from 1,600 or whatever it is. Bitcoin is a big part of our portfolio. I think it's 50, maybe 55% of our portfolio, something like that. So we're good. We're happy. Yeah. Some of our alts could be a lot higher, but it's not that time of the market yet. And I'm sure the Oracle's going to tell us when that's going to be at some point in here. So yeah, we're pretty happy. I don't have many meme coins. I had meme coins, Yikes, and they burnt me. I was left with third-degree burns from Ponkey, and what with the ones that we were buying 3 years ago. We got absolutely wrecked on memes. So we don't really have them. We've got Mew. I think that's pretty much it. We've got SHIB. We give away SHIB. But as far as memes are concerned, we've been absolutely wrecked by them.
No, I just can't bother with it, really. It's like, I'd rather just stick to the same 3 things and just know it really well, or spend my whole life looking at 50 different things in one go. I'm not much of a meme coin person myself. The only thing in the personal is Solana for me. That's all I really have. Obviously, I do talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, but I was buying Solana when it was all-time lows, when I was walking to and from school. So that's me. Solana's me. So I'm happy. I mean, it depends on when you look at it. Really, it's like you look at it on the last couple hours, last couple of days, you might be angry. You look at it over a longer period of time, you might be happy. It's all really perspective.
Yeah, we're up a long way in the last 2 years, and I think getting into it today, then you've missed all those gains. When XRP was at 40 cents, it's now at $3.20. That's an 8x. I mean, how much further do people think it's going to go in this bull run? You've heard people talking about $100 XRP. I just want to turn them off. You hear about people talking about, Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. Again, I don't know what people smoke in certain parts of the world, but it's certainly not reality. And I think that's the issue for me, Yikes, is that people get to this stage of the cycle and everything's about the clicks, and people...
Yep.
People give you these unrealistic targets and they have confirmation bias. So if you go and buy Solana at $200, you want to listen to somebody tell you it's going to go to $2,000. You don't want to listen to some guy who's not got a lot of hair on his head telling you it's only going to go to $600.
Yeah.
So you then get fed by this greed that all of your coins, all of your magical beans are going to suddenly go up 10x, and you're going to be living in a mansion this time next year.
Yep.
And the reality is that's not going to happen. You're going to make money, you're going to make a good return, and maybe in 3 or 4 cycles you'll make a lot of money, but you can't make money in 6 months in crypto. That's a fallacy, and that's unfortunately what a lot of people believe. And if you try and tell them otherwise, they call you a fudder.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're really extremely willing to take on an immense amount of risk, and be one of the very few percentile on the right hand side of the bell curve, you might make some money really quickly. But you know, the people who the middle of the bell curve, the most people who make the most money are sitting in the normal area of things with a averaged out, optimized bag of different cryptos, which are all in the top, however many number you want to go from, and they're just holding it, and yes, they can trade, but they're holding it. And I think going on to the topic, obviously, before we move on to the second breaking news in quotation, before we actually move on to the markets, I think my main, I'm going to give a comment on the news and how it's affected the market, and I think this will go for a lot of things, and will be a point I will probably give consistently. And people have given consistently throughout streams and online and whatnot, is I think everyone is too reactionary. I think and I will talk about this later when we go on to how we're feeling. I think people are at the stage we're in the market. I think there's we're at the highest amount of confusion. We always are. Every time we hit these areas where we're really close to all-time highs or hitting all-time highs or whatever it is, there is not a direct linear. I would imagine a linear proportion between people's confusion as a whole and where we are in the market, especially in this period where we're at all-time highs. And I think that can apply very easily to obviously this miswording of things coming to the street reserve. And I think people react too fast when they don't understand what they're reacting to, especially when it comes to the market. And I think what makes that worse is the paradox of when people understand that people will react, they will react the same. So it's like when it fulfills itself, the self-fulfilling prophecy, where people understand people, and it's kind of this herd mentality of people will think people will do something else, and therefore they become the people. So everyone will go, oh, well, this is bad because people think it's bad, and I might think it's bad, and I'm going to sell, and then therefore everyone sells. So I think people are too reactionary, and it's stupid, really, at the end of the day. But if we want to jump on over to the second part, if you want to intro that, please.
Yeah, so the second topic is, of course, Mr. Trump, Mr. Orange Man, met with Vladimir Putin in Alaska yesterday. I think it's the first time Putin has been on American soil in a very long time. Trump did the usual thing. He had the B-2 bomber fly over. He had all of his fighter jets on display. He had some very tall soldiers standing there with guns. He greeted Putin off the plane. They sat down. They had a chat. They had a meeting. And, the Democrats are literally screaming from the tops of the buildings. They're calling him a sellout. They're calling him this. They're calling him saying he's in Putin's pockets. And they've all got very short-term memories because I remember a certain president, I'm old enough to remember a certain president, Barack Obama, who was very pally with Vladimir Putin, very smiley, very chatty with Putin. And it's only really been probably the last 3 or 4 years of Sleepy Joe, where he's kind of become the enemy of the state. But before that, Bill Clinton, Obama, the previous presidents, they've always had a reasonably good relationship with Vladimir Putin. And people have got very short-term memories, like you just said, about markets. And the problem is, if you go back and you study politics for any long length of time, you'll realize that negotiation and communication are the two most important things in anything. And
which you did study as well.
Which I studied politics. Yeah. That was a long time ago. That was 34 years ago. I've been studying politics. So, the key really is that the left, especially the left, they don't want debate and conversation. They want to be right and you are wrong. And that polarization, especially in America, has done nothing but damage pretty much everybody's walks of life over there, which is really sad to see. And all Trump is doing is what every president prior to Biden would have done in the last 60 years, which is sit down and negotiate. And that's what he's done. And, he sat down with the guy from North Korea. He sat down with Modi in India. He's sat down and he's talked to the Japanese leader, and that's what Trump does. He negotiates. And if you've got fault with that, well, you guys didn't do anything for the 4 previous years. You didn't arrange to meet Putin. You haven't had a conversation about it. But as it relates to crypto, I think it's a really important lesson to learn is that Trump will not listen to anybody else, and Trump listens to himself. And when you have all of these people telling you he's going to crash the economy, he's going to ruin global trade, he's going to put 5 million Americans outside on their backside, and he's been there since January, and none of that has come to pass. He's been in power 7 months. None of that's come to pass. And I think that's the issue is when you listen to media, all they want to do is sell papers. And yesterday, showed you what Trump is all about, which is he'll sit down at a table with anybody, anywhere. Putin's invited him to Russia. I think Trump will go to Russia. I think Trump will go to Moscow, or maybe an outer part of Russia. And I think that will happen probably either towards the end of this year, beginning of next year. I think that will happen. And I think, why do people not want peace? That's what I can't get my head around, is because it's a political toy. So that's my second headline of the week, which is follow his actions, because his actions speak louder than all of the Democrats' words.
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you think, Yikes? Do you think it's a good thing that he's sitting down with Putin? Do you think it's a bad thing? What do you think about the state of affairs?
In general, for me, it's kind of weird. I thought there are going to be 3 of them: Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. Right? It makes more sense.
Yeah.
To talk about ceasefire and just negotiate on something. But what happened right now, honestly, don't understand this.
Yeah, I think it's old school. And when I mean old school, I think it's more a case of you have, Russia, China, America probably still see themselves as the superpowers, whereas Ukraine, Europe, Asia, they're not really seen on the same level. So those conversations are not had with Zelensky. Should Zelensky have been there? Absolutely. Of course he should. But I just think that with Europe, I mean, it's on Europe's doorstep. Why is President Trump trying to bring an end to this? Why isn't France and Germany and the UK trying to end this? With Zelensky, they've had 3 years to solve this, and they didn't do anything. So it's like I think it's old school. They just see themselves as special and above everybody else. I think that's the way I see it. Is it right? No, it's not right. Zelensky should be there. It's his country. It's their future, and he should be part of the negotiation. But I don't think Trump and Putin see it that way, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean I think it's a positive. Listen, if things stop ceasing to live, I think for me that's the most important thing. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. But I've seen the news that Trump invited Zelensky to US, to White House.
Yes. What, today?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that. That's good news. Good news. We can only hope,
Especially so soon.
Especially so soon. We do have a few questions in chat for the competition, but we'll leave the questions and then we'll do the questions in a batch. Yeah. So if you are in chat, ask questions. We will ask them to Yikes, and I'll ask them to the Oracle, and they can answer those questions.
I've been reading. They've been good questions so far from what I can see on YouTube. I've liked, the questions have been really high quality, which is thank you guys for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a quick fix. A little alt tab issue. I think with Trump though, because again he's a businessman first, right? I think he wrote a whole book about dealing and not negotiating, but having two people which might be combating on their ideas and what they want, but meeting in the middle. And I think this is I mean, again, a government obviously you might argue is a whole lot of things and a whole lot of analogies, but I think one of them can be these large businesses which have common goals with different means about going about them, and different wants also, on a different field. And I think you can easily apply ideologies of business to government, and also in terms of having the experience of being a great businessman and being able to talk to somebody and meet in the middle if your ideas and your wants are opposing, I think is a great skill if you are someone who is in a high political position like being a president. So I think, Trump is poised as someone to meet people in the middle and meet to find a conclusion. And especially if he's spoken to Putin and now is potentially speaking to Zelensky. So I think this is hopefully a good sign. But that, I think, is it for breaking news. So now we can move on to some market-based questions. So the first one we have is, how do we feel about the cycle? So I think we should go to Mike first and then, circle it around there.
How do I feel about the cycle? I think, that meme, it's going exactly as I planned. That's how I feel about this cycle. So in January and February, if you were an OG on YouTube, I've been making videos about where we're going to go in this cycle. And we've pretty much gone as I planned. So early in the year, we were going to ride up a little bit. We came down on Trump. We came down on tariffs. I said we'd hit all-time highs again in May or April. I can't remember which. We then hit them 2 weeks after I said. I said we'd have a summer lull. Even made a video called Summer Lulling, which is lost on YouTube because you're both way too young to understand that. It's from Greece. And then we would run down towards the end of September, and then middle of October-ish, we then start to run up to our all-time highs in November. That's how I've been saying it's going to work for the last 6 to 8 months. And I don't want to go into it any more depth than that because I don't want to take up all of the airtime. So that's what I think. Yikes, has it gone to plan for you so far?
So far for me, everything like pretty good. That I can say. And here's a question. I have a question for you. I want to ask you: can Bitcoin reach another highest level by end of this year? Or the last high was the limit for the year? Is a question from the chat.
We are going to go a lot higher than we have gone. Absolutely. I know the Oracle's going to show us on his charts in a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much in this whole section before the charts because I'm going to talk. You will be sick of hearing me. You'll never want to hear from me ever again by the end of the stream. So I'm keeping reserved.
Another question about syrup. You guys holding it?
Yes, we've got syrup. Binance. I've actually made a video today about Maple Finance and syrup. If you're on Binance, which I know a lot of you are, they're offering 30, 60 and 90-day lockups for syrup with 2.6% APR on that on Binance. Personally, what I would do, not financial advice, if you count forward September, October, November, if you lock it up for 90 days now, it will probably unlock somewhere near all-time highs. But I wouldn't be doing that for 90 days at the end of September. So if you've got syrup, if you've got it on Binance, flexible, I think is 2.5%. That's really, really good. Do 30 or 60 days as well. But I think this week is your last chance to lock it up for 90 days at 2.6%.
I mean, you might as well. I mean, considering how we're moving and how we expect to move and the time frame that'll happen over, you might as well lock it up. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you've been on my streams, and I will say it's actually because, as someone said, syrup, I thought, oh, I've been doing a syrup chart, I can look at it, but I won't look at it on this stream. I thought, actually, I'll tell people I'm doing another stream later tonight where I cover more coins like syrup. So if you are someone who is holding syrup and is confused or wants to know a bit more of the charts, I'll be streaming later on 9 p.m. UTC+2. So if you do want some information, I can give it.
Do you have any more questions?
We just saved it for later, right?
Yeah, we can
about
them all.
market cap.
And
Yeah, how high will crypto market cap go? Now 4 trillion, possible to go over 5.
Quick answer. I've been saying for about 2 years it will go between 6 and 10 trillion. So conservatively, across the board, probably 50 to 100% higher than where we are today. That's my aim. So I'd say 6 to 7 trillion is probably about where we might go by the end of the bull run.
Got it.
If-
I
if
have
that
one
helps.
more. What if US transit to cryptocurrency from paper dollars? How would it impact the market if it's happened?
It's never going to happen.
But if we just imagine something crazy happen.
Okay. If we switch to stable coins, so USDC, USDT, or anything like that, or if we switch to the what's it called? The government USDC. What's it called now? What do they call them? What's it called? The government state, the government CBDC.
This
CCB,
one.
yeah,
Central bank
CBDC.
currency.
That's it. If they switch to a CBDC, which is probably what the person is asking, it would give the government of America too much control over the dollar. And the reason for that is it's programmable money. At the minute, you are in control of your money. And if it switches to a digital dollar, then the American government would have complete control over the money in your pocket, complete control over the money in your bank account. You wouldn't be able to buy anything without their say so. But it would strengthen the US dollar. And the reason I say that is the reason they're pushing stablecoins so much in America is they realize that 100% of Web3 money is in the dollar. So just to put that into context, the global reserve currency is the dollar, but it's only about 55% of what countries hold. So other countries that hold dollars, they hold pounds, they hold euros, they hold Swiss francs. Only about 55% of that, 58% maybe, is in the dollar. And that's been coming down ever so slightly over the last 20 years. Look at Web3. Pretty much 100% of all money in crypto is in the dollar. So if they promote crypto, then the global reserve currency is always going to be the dollar. And what do they have to do to back the dollar? They have to buy American treasuries, American T-bills. So they prop up the American economy. And then it becomes the de facto currency of crypto. And that's it. They take over. There will be no other currencies. Everything will denominate in dollars. There'll be no euro. There'll be no pound. There'll be no Swiss franc. Everything will be in dollars. And America will control currency. That's in the Western world. In the Eastern world, it will be China. If that's what you want as an answer, I think that's pretty much covered it as best I can.
It's good. Thank you so much. What's the subtitle? Do you have subtitles here on Binance Square?
I don't think there are subtitles on Binance Square.
If you need subtitles, just go to YouTube.
Yeah, I think
Right.
there's subtitles on YouTube.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
closed
I think
captions.
there is. Yeah, closed captions. Do you have any other questions, Yikes?
About Bitcoin, what do we have? But we can save it for later. We just
Okay.
moving on.
Right. Oh, what should we get onto the charts? Or do you want me to read out the questions from YouTube?
So you can do some questions from YouTube. We can do okay because obviously we've already started the questions. It seems we can literally just
Okay.
compile them all right now and batch them, and then we can move on. So yeah, do questions down. Yeah, sure.
Okay. The Hidden Agendas has asked, I think it's the first question we've got. Will ETH be flipped by XRP? Who wants to answer that one? So basically, will the market cap of XRP go higher than the market cap of Ethereum? Which of you two wants to answer that question? Do you want me to answer these questions?
You can start answering. I'm trying to compose an answer.
All right.
With what I have.
Hidden
in my head.
Agendas watched yesterday
Yeah.
because I said there is not a cat in hell's chance of it happening. XRP is never going to catch Ethereum, and Ethereum is never going to catch Bitcoin in this cycle. Certainly, Ethereum will not flip Bitcoin, and it will take a lot of problems for Ethereum and a lot of positivity for XRP to get anywhere near Ethereum. So, to answer Hidden Agendas, who knows damn well what he's doing, he heard me talk about this yesterday. No, it won't. Ethereum will not be flipped by XRP. Anything else? Or do you want me to move on to the next question?
No, I mean I think
I absolutely agree with you.
yeah, I'll agree. I think I agree. I'm just thinking like I was trying to say why I think I agree. I think in terms of supply, I think is a very important one. Considering what the supply scenarios of Ethereum and Ethereum versus XRP, and that will completely change anyone's mind if they say it will flip. I think my only comment would be about my only response would be just consider what the circulating supply is of both tokens. But yeah, you can move on.
Okay. Mary has asked, is the key to the mass adoption of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana hidden in dollar-pegged coins and yield-bearing stablecoins? That's a corker of a question.
I thought when I read that and it came, I was like, that is a question and a half. That is a good question.
That's a question and a half.
Yeah.
That's only the second question. It's already caught me. Does anybody want to answer that, or do you want me to answer it?
Trust you.
I think I know what you're going to say, but you can say it.
Okay. Stable coins are going to lead to mass adoption because people understand dollars, they understand pounds, they understand yen, they understand the euro. So stable coins are going to lead mass adoption, in my opinion. Where the value is for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana is in twofold. Solana is being used as a conduit for transactions. So if you want to buy something, it's cheap to buy it through Solana, and that you'll use stable coins through Solana. Ethereum will be used as a financial institution. So if you want to buy stocks and shares 24/7, 365, you'll buy it through an Ethereum-based platform, and that will also be in stable coins. Bitcoin is the global store of wealth. It will flip gold at some point in the future, and people will associate Bitcoin with digital gold. So each of them has its own way of being adopted via the masses. But when it comes down to it, if you were to say one thing that's going to drive adoption of Web3, it's stable coins. It's the most boring answer in the world because it's a dollar. It's a dollar, it's a dollar, we know. There are other ways, such as you've mentioned, yield-bearing stable coins. So Syrup USDC, Ondo has got its own, Athena's got its own. That will be a way for people to earn a yield like a bank account. If we sell people crypto as a digital bank, then people will understand that yield-bearing stable coins can earn them a yield, even though there's a higher risk. We know there's a higher risk. But I think for me, my issue is, how are all of these thousands and thousands of projects in the world, how are they going to get traction when people are using stable coins and only buying Bitcoin and Ethereum? How are all of these AI projects and the real world asset projects, how are they going to have their adoption driven when people are going to go to Binance and Robinhood and Revolut and buying crypto through there? And they're never going to see the degen side of crypto. They're never going to see the Web3 side of crypto, because they're only ever going to see what they're shown by BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com. So for me, it's stable coins are going to drive adoption. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so.
Next one. I'm going to ask Yikes this question. Yikes, what is the best place to store crypto?
Oof. I would say it's cold wallet. Yeah.
Ledger, Trezor,
Yeah, something like this. This is the best possible option. It's safe, but it's not. I think it's not really convenient if you were planning to use this crypto regularly.
Yeah.
If you're planning to use it like every day, just send something, buy, interact with decentralized apps. I think Web3 wallets, not centralized exchange wallets. Web3, like I don't want to mention. I don't want to mention this one. Yes.
I think Binance has got. Doesn't Binance own Trust Wallet?
Yeah.
Is it Trust Wallet? Yeah. So something like Trust Wallet. I mean, that's a good answer. Right, I'm going to move on because there's loads of these. I'm going to ask Brogan this one.
Yeah.
Would Kamala Harris have met Putin?
No.
Good answer. Villain Bear, which is our resident bear, will Bitcoin come below 100,000 this year?
I'll answer that.
Yes or no? What do you think?
Is a question for me?
Yeah, so I said yikes. Yeah, will Bitcoin come below $100,000 this year?
I don't think so. I want to see something around 150,000. It's to break 150, not going below 100k. No.
Okay. Oracle?
I was gonna say, I'll just before you ask, I'll answer that through the charts. So in a bit when we go to Bitcoin, I'll answer your question.
Okay, we've actually got quite a lot of questions. We have to go a lot faster than this. How will the crypto market impact if the next year's we have a non-crypto president? Will we have a down trend? That's from Thomas. I'll answer that very well. I can answer that first very quickly. I said a long time ago that crypto has 4 years to embed itself into the American administration, the American financial system. And the issue is that within the next 3.5 years, it will be so embedded, it will be impossible. It's like a dam breaking, and it was held back. Operation Choke Point 2.0 held it back, and then the dams have been broken. By the time a new president comes in 3.5 years, Binance will have a bank in America. Other exchanges will have banks in America. The tax dollars being provided by those exchanges will be so much that it can't be held back. That would be my answer. Anybody want to add to that, or should I ask the next question?
No, I completely agree. I think if you compare previously, I know in terms of, I think reactionary again. I think obviously, like I said near the intro, if people react badly to it consistently, I get that, but I think we've had periods where they've not really been too fond of crypto and they've been absolutely fine. So I think. Obviously, as of late, anyway, it's not been so much of a free market for crypto because, again, as more institutional gets involved. But I think it's still, in its own sense, a free market where it will orchestrate itself as people grow. Okay. And people already know about crypto. So, no. Move on, then.
Okay, right. Next question, then. What is Syrup USDC backed by that keeps its value above $1? What I would... I'm going to explain that. I'm not going to put Yikes on the spot or you on the spot with this. The same thing that keeps the Circle dollar and the Tether dollar above $1. And that's this. You've got something called the NAV, which is the nominal asset value, I think it stands for. And that's basically the total value of investments, or whatever it might be, divided by the number of shares. So if you have $1 billion of Circle, you have $1 billion of real dollars in the bank account or the T-bills, whatever it might be. So the NAV is 1. If you're an idiot and you decide to sell your Circle for 90 cents, people will buy that for 90 cents and they will make the profit on that. There is nothing stopping any stablecoin going down to 0 or 1 cent other than the fact that the market understands the value of the dollar. Syrup USDC is backed by over-collateralized loans to institutions. So if you have $1 billion of Syrup USDC, you will have $1.5 or $1.6 billion of assets. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hype. What else do they use? They use Wrapped ETH. That backs up that $1 billion of Syrup USDC. The reason it increases in value is because there is an increase in the income from those loans. So let's say the loan is 10%. Some of that, 7% of that gets added to the value of Syrup USDC. That's how it holds its value. But to answer your question, every single stablecoin out there could, in theory, go to 0.1 cent. And that's a very difficult question to answer. Right, now let's see. Is there any other easy questions? We're going to ask one more question, then we're going to have to move on because otherwise the entire show is going to take up with this question. How do you see trends for Bitcoin future dominance, short term and long term? That is from Danny. So who wants to answer that question? That's not an easy question either. How do you see trends for the Bitcoin dominance, short term and long term? Does anybody have an answer, or do you want me to answer?
I think you can answer, but I want to see Bitcoin dominance go down.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
I want.
I think the problem is there's so much money coming into Bitcoin and Ethereum that it's going to be difficult for Bitcoin dominance to replicate what's happened in the past, where it's gone from 70% to 30%. I don't see that happening ever again, because Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset. But as Yikes says, it will come down, but it won't probably come down as far as it's ever come down in the past. The same way that you're not going to see Bitcoin dominance ever go to 95% again. It will go up maybe to 60s, 65, 66. It might come down to 48, 49, 50. But I think what you're seeing is you're seeing the maturity of a market, and the price of Bitcoin is so much higher now that those massive dips and massive spikes in prices, they are going to even out over the next 5 or 10 years. So I could easily see Bitcoin dominance staying at 50, 55% for the next 10 years because it's such a valuable asset. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No, I agree. I mean, I think I would have said not the exact same words, but the exact same thing topically. I think the scenario we're in, I think I will kind of talk about this as well when I go into the charts in terms of why, of what I will talk about on the charts anyway, and why I talk about them, is because of how different we are. And I think this also, again, it goes back to the reactionary thing, where I think we're in such a different scenario in crypto as a whole anyway, considering, what bodies are involved in crypto. In the first place, it's not just like, normal people. But I also, on a kind of double-edged sword there, also don't think that also plays as much of a role as I think it does, as I think people think it does. So yeah, I think things will still go up and down. I think people probably think, oh, well, governments are getting involved. It'll never go down. Bitcoin's always going to be at the top, and it'll go to 100%. And no one will buy anything else. I think people always choose the most extreme side of an argument. So I wouldn't agree with that if people to say that. I think it will have an inflate. I think in the average it's stayed at so far across Bitcoin's history. I think it will stay in that kind of range, but just a bit more inflated. But so basically exactly what you said. So yeah, same thing really.
Perfect. All right, we should do some charts.
We can move to charts, yeah, if you want to.
Should we? Have you got any other questions you want to ask first, Yikes, before we get onto the charts?
No, I think all the questions related to the chart, to the Bitcoin, so what we discuss now.
Right, I'm gonna. Should I put my microphone on mute because you're gonna be doing all the talking?
If you want to, I mean, I'm gonna try, because we're obviously 10 to 1 anyway in our time. We'll probably, again, we're not strictly to an hour. We can go over a bit. I won't talk as much as I promise this. If I've ever promised anything in my life, this is the one promise I will keep. I will not talk how I normally do on my streams. So people who are scared right now in the YouTube chat because they've been in my streams, you can, if you want how I normally do, on my streams, you can come along later on. But I'm gonna be really brief. So
okay.
I can get into it if you want. I can go straight into
Fire away. Take us away. Bring up those lovely white charts.
Yeah, kill your eyes. So obviously I just have a cool market cap up. I'm not really gonna go through this. Just wanted to look at percentages on the 24-hour, 1.3 on Bitcoin, 5% on Ethereum, and 4.5. So just sticking to the 24-hour percentage here to give them an idea of what I'm looking at, and for the people who were there last stream on Thursday. In terms of what we've been talking about, I'm not going to go too deep on the 4 hour. Let me jump straight onto it. I'm really not going to go too deep onto the 4 hour or anything like that, because that we do not have the time for that, and I will be doing that later on anyway. So I might as well just leave it and just cover the weekly. So I'm going to kind of use the chart to talk about my opinions rather than just strictly look at every single price action movement and whatnot. So I think this is kind of one of the main things I've been talking about for a while, to some extent, in terms of whether it's been the exact same thing or it's been something along these lines. It's mainly been this. So this is the weekly. These ranges spanning back about September 2023, since we started this uptrend move for Bitcoin. Now the point I'm gonna make here, and I won't say it as long-winded as I normally do on my streams, is these dips we have as the lows. Because again, in an uptrend, what do? You do higher highs and higher lows, right? So in this case, what are we looking at? We're looking at when we do that high, and then we are watching to see when we do that low. So just to look at historical price action anyway, and compare what we're doing now versus what we've done previously, is really just focus on two main things: is how we moved in the move upwards, and then where we theoretically come to. So again, this is just it's literally just an uptrend. If you really just draw it out, it's really just the price moving upwards. So it's not too foreign of a concept, even for people who have only just got into trading as a whole and just really looking at what an uptrend and a downtrend is. It's just this. That's all that is. And what I want to focus on is the idea of being in a premium and coming below that area to a discount or to equilibrium. So the idea of what is a fair in relative to a price action move. What is relative good price to buy at? What is a relatively bad price to buy at? So the general concepts anyway is you have the average area 0.5. The equilibrium is the midpoint when you turn from an inefficient buy to an efficient buy. So let's say you've come from, in this case anyway, about 25k, and you've run it up all the way to a high at about 72.1, wherever this one is exactly. So the idea that where would you rather buy, just on a base level, where would you rather buy? Would you rather buy at 65k, or would you rather buy closer towards 45k, 46k? So that is the concept, right? Equilibrium. So to actually apply that idea and look at it, we have these price movements which are very expansionary, which basically means these massive candles. And what you want to look for, obviously in personal opinion, because I'm not a financial advisor, is these movements of price action. Because again, there's two kind of concepts. There's efficient price action and inefficient price action, where efficient is kind of movements where you have these move upwards, expansionary move upwards, and then you have these retracements, which lead to deep retracement, whatever. It's basically this is efficient, and then you can have movements which kind of do this, and they have these rapid movements where you don't actually do clean high highs, high lows. So in this case, on the weekly, we can see, and it doesn't look that bad. And this is the thing; it's relative to what time frame you're looking on. If you're looking on the weekly, and you think about this relatively on a bit of a short time frame, these are more ridiculous movements rather than the weekly. If you go to the monthly, these will just look like singular candles, singular sets of candles, which don't look that bad. So it's all relative. It's all it all kind of is dependent on what time frame you look on. But to apply it to what we have here, these movements, basically the idea is you want to come back to these areas where there could be potential to retrace to as your low. And these are kind of general areas where price would normally stop at if you're coming down or going back upwards. So that is basically the whole concept of an uptrend and where we stop at. So I'm now going to stop yapping on the theoretical. I'm now going to talk about actually applying it. So we can see with this low here, we have basically the max low was 49 exactly. We have this range here as a general area, and not only do we have that, because yes, okay, we had this area for example, and it's like, oh, why didn't we stop at 56k? Again, equilibrium. The idea that we come towards a area where price is efficient to buy at, and it's like, okay, we've come back down far enough. We're not buying $100 away from the all-time high, so we should be buying here. Same thing here. We've just about come towards equilibrium, and that's when you want to start watching for the low. So we have that. We can see we hit just about below equilibrium. We hit the low. That is the max low of this kind of stint of a move. And then what do we do here? Another expansionary move upwards, just like an uptrend. Same thing. We mark out that low, mark out that high, and then we look to wait for a reversal and then look for the retracement. And again, the general idea is you want to watch for area and price coming below equilibrium. Same thing here. We have kind of this gap, sitting at around this whole area. It's just like, okay, again, why didn't we stop at 83? Because we weren't in a efficient price to be a max low. And then we can see the actual main low was well below that equilibrium at 79. So watching, as soon as we start getting past this equilibrium, watching to see price come to this area and reverse. Same thing here, we filled the entire area of this anyway, sitting about 75, and then we continued upwards. So whole lot of yap, I know. Now I can talk about where we are. So the thing is about this is it's not a thing where you can just draw this and immediately know the high and the low. If you're in an uptrend, especially if you're in a price discovery situation, especially if you look at the weekly, this whole phase, this is the max high. Okay, so as soon as we come into these areas, we don't know where the exact high is going to be. So the best we can do is watch on the lower time frames and look for a reversal. But we can still use the same concept of looking for price to come back towards an equilibrium point or come to an efficient area for us to buy back. Now, not to be doom and gloomer for people who, want price to continue to go out upwards and go to 200k and whatnot. This is just what I want to look at. And this is why I was so heavy on talking about previous movements in this massive uptrend from the weekly, is because this is just normal price action. We can't go up forever. We can't go down forever. So it's not, I'm not an enemy for saying that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a longer term low on the weekly and then continued higher to do all-time highs. And again, this sits in the idea that, okay, in November could be the all-time high of Bitcoin, this, that, the other. So how are we going to do that? Well, we can't just go up from 117 forever and continue to go up from now until November and then see the all-time high. We have to have price move efficiently. So, expansion, okay? We are moving upwards. And what we are watching here on the weekly, which we have to go to the low time frame to see, is for that reversal. But what I can comment on is the general area I would expect that retracement to sit between. So let's say price comes up even more again, and I do have some standard deviations, and one of the prices is about 127. So let's just give that as an example, okay? This gives max equilibrium at about 108.59, okay? And if we were to see a really close low, because again we can see that it ranges in between 0.5 all the way down to a really deep retracement. Even you could come even as low as nearly the all-time low of this move. So it's not a thing where it's an exact set in stone price, but the general rule of thumb is, okay, cool, well, we could expect a low as high as, let's say, 98k, nearing 100k. So some people, I know people have been saying, 100k is a low. Can we go lower than 90k? And this is obviously in response to that question. I think we can. Before we see that all-time high, I think we could probably see that low, because again, we're in this phase right now where we're still doing all-time high. Again, this last wick was 124.5 above 123 160. So it's the same thing where we're still in this up phase. Because if you look at it on the trend on the weekly, this spans 56 days. Okay, so we've had so much doom and gloom in between those last nearly basically 2 months. So again, it's all perspective. It's all really what time frame you look at it on. So on the weekly, it's just us kind of going upwards and then start to slow down a bit, and then we've just done a last kind of leg upwards so far anyway. So it doesn't look that bad on the weekly. And again, it will, on the lower time frames, it will feel worse than it actually is if you were to look at it on a higher time frame. So again here, if we were to retrace back towards, let's say 90k, 94k in this range for a deep retracement, it will feel absolutely death-defyingly awful. We've just gone to hell. We're never going to get back out of here. This is awful. But if you look at it on the weekly, you're just doing a longer-term low. You're just doing a low.
Ooh.
And no, there's no boost here, okay? Because again, this isn't me randomly higgledy-piggledy. Let's look at this magic hat I've got. Let me pull this random number out. I'm trying to base this off previous price action since September 2023. And that's why, again, as I've already just said, I was so kind of adamant on describing how we move in these scenarios and why we move like this, to then apply this to this phase. Because again, like I said, I don't know the all-time high. I have to watch price, and it's like, okay, I can't perfectly describe. I can give guesstimates, because again, I gave a high at 123. This last, because we're on the weekly here, it looks quite zoomed in. For example, we were talking back here. Obviously, people can vouch for me. Who were on my streams when I was talking about this. I had the standard deviation, and I was talking about 123, between 123 and 127 as the all-time, as one of the max highs we could see before we have a deeper retracement. And I was talking about, okay, we can go between basically towards 123, and we wicked to there, pretty much within like $200. So I can give guesstimates. Again, the next one would probably be 127. So, but I can't exactly describe it, play for play. But again, like I said, I can describe how I would expect us, if we were to move down, where we could go to. So that is my general higher time frame opinion on Bitcoin. And I'm not gonna go, I know I've just spent so long talking about Bitcoin there, but it's not as long as I would normally spend on my stream, so it's a slight improvement. So again,
you're saying we're coming down?
Yeah, or not right now. Again, this is the weekly. This will take some time, and you have to watch it on the lower time frames. And I'm also not saying we can't go up again before we move down. I would have to talk about it on the lower time frame, and I don't want to go into that too much right now because I've got Solana and Ethereum to talk about, and we've already spent an hour on the stream, and I don't want to spend another hour of just me. So I will look at this again later on when I'm looking at Bitcoin on the 4 hour, and I will paying attention to when we would potentially see a reversal. But yeah, basically looking at where we could come down to if and when we come down for Bitcoin.
And would you say, because I've got the middle of October for my before we start to take off, if you know what I mean, to go to all-time highs. So that gives about 8 weeks worth of this sideways downwards action. And my bottom is about 105,000, 104,000. Yours is 90.
Well, I mean, it depends on where we come from, because we've had scenarios. Because again, this isn't just a random tool you can only do on the weekly. This is just an uptrend. So I've drawn this on the 15-minute, I've drawn this on the 4 hour, I've drawn this on 1 hour, and price can range in between having a low exactly at the equilibrium, coming as low as the one and wicking past the old low. So it's all a range. So it's more of a general rule of thumb area where you want to watch price for to see if there's a reversal at that low. Okay. So it's like, okay, well, we could see a low as high as 100k. We could come down to 90k. And I have been saying, I did say 90k a long time ago, before we even pumped, back towards over here, May time, wherever it was. So it's not, I'm guaranteeing it's 100k, but it's within 100k, 90k. I will have to watch it as we go, because I can't guarantee it.
Before we go on to the next chart, can you save Yikes?
Yeah.
Because his camera's gone. And I'm wondering if Yikes has looked at your Bitcoin chart and decided to go and hide behind the sofa.
Is your camera alright, Yikes? Do you want
I think you're not gonna do anything about it, because it's a problem with it. If I open OBS and Google Meets and something happens to my camera, they say they have to end the stream first in OBS.
That's right. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's fine.
Okay.
We can see a while. We can hear you. As long as we can hear you, I think it's okay. But retail can't afford buying Bitcoin above 100k. I mean, well, the general idea is anyway, like, if it's the idea of coming towards an equilibrium point or lower, that is generally a discount area where it's more optimum to buy Bitcoin. So I could agree on the fact that, okay, somewhere below 100k, 101k is a more optimum area to buy Bitcoin, like, rather than, okay, we're going to see the lower 111k. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, that's it for Bitcoin. I'm going to go to Ethereum now. I always spend the longest on Bitcoin. So if you're sitting there, you're going, Jesus, man, this guy just spent so long on Bitcoin. How long am I going to be here for? I normally spend most of my time on Bitcoin anyway, so don't worry. It'll be a lot faster on Ethereum. So Ethereum's case. Weekly here as well, marked out the all-time high for Ethereum at 4,860. Now, we are venturing up to this. And, price across the board in Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana can move the exact same. What it also can do is move completely differently. So Bitcoin could be going down, absolutely tanking, and Ethereum could be pumping. And we've seen that lately anyway. So just to give that as an example, because I have sometimes always had in the back of my mind, well, if Bitcoin's moving one way, surely the market moves like that. No, okay? Things, they're their own coins and their own markets, okay? So that's my main point. So I don't have as much weekly analysis on Ethereum on the weekly. I do have, obviously, this, after starting this uptrend, yes, if we are expanding, which we are doing, we would want to expect a retracement. But same kind of similar thing with Bitcoin, because again, if you look, obviously you have this high here, printing above it here, obviously massive low here. It's kind of like, not great price action where we've had a coming past this low. We have this kind of we've printed past this high, and then we printed past this low, and then we printed past this high. So it's not great price action in terms of a exact uptrend or an exact downtrend. But in the general idea, okay, we've just
So we're putting in higher highs and we're putting in lower lows.
Yeah, it's kind of like this.
How the chart looks.
From what I see, again, we have this high, and then we print above it, and then we have these lows, and we print below it, and then we have this high, and we print above it. So it's really kind of choppy. So it's not. I'm not saying, as soon as we get past all-time high, we're gonna come to $1,000. But you know what I mean. Especially seen as though
$10,000.
Huh?
Aren't we going to go to $10,000? That's what.
Well, I'm saying the example that if we're having this price action, which is like this, surely we would continue. Oh, well, why don't we continue that? Well, obviously, if we have a new low and it comes to $400, I'm not saying we're doing that. For people who would infer that's what I'm saying, I'm not saying that. Now, I think the difference in the price is definitely how we move. And I say this a lot. And one of my things I've not coined, this isn't the coin thing, but is the speed distance time thing. You might learn it in physics. Speed distance time. Do you know what I mean? The triangle.
I haven't done physics for about 8,000 years.
It's like
I'm like an elf. I'm like 8,000 years old.
Well, for my physics people out there, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's like this, and basically, it's like if you want to figure out speed, it's distance times time. Figure out time, it's speed over distance. If you want to figure out distance, it's speed over time, type of thing, right? That's not what I'm here for. It's the idea that I think price can be talked about in the same sense as you would talk about speed, distance, and time. because there's velocity of price moving, if it's expansionary retracement, there's how far it moves and how long it takes to move there. So same thing here. Let's apply that kind of idea. So we have the speed. I mean, again, speed is obviously how expansionary it is, I believe. This is very fast. Distance, very far. Time, not too long. So this is kind of categorized, I would say, very expansionary. Now, if we look at, okay, cool, we have this kind of downtrend thing and whatnot. This isn't really great of an expansion. You know, especially on the weekly, when we see these expansions, they're these massive candles. Yes, we did have, maybe like one massive candle. But then obviously we kind of slowed down with this candle. And yes, we did retrace into this one. But then we had a larger expansion. So we're properly expanding in this move. In this one, there wasn't too much of an expansion, and and the distance as well wasn't that large of an expansion. And I think if we compare this last move versus this move in terms of, oh, well, what if we just dump quickly? No. This expansion, you can see these wicks as well, especially like it's not in one direction, going up really fast for a long period of time. And it allowed us to retrace quite deeply after that and not really hold too much support. And I think the scenario of this, and if I was to draw this out now, is the same scenario. Now, again, I'm not saying this comes to 2,300, but again, it's the same idea where, and this is, I am going to quickly jump onto the 4 hour before we go to Solana, before we, move on. I do want to talk about how I think we're doing right now in Ethereum. That, yes, if we are in this massive uptrend, and to be fair, actually, I should draw it from here, to be fair, because it's more of the last low in an expansion. So it would be this range, and then it would be, to be fair, it'd actually probably be this range. But this is kind of more the max low of this move. It's probably better to look at on daily, actually, so we can see it a bit better. And this you can kind of see is really a bit clearer now, where we can see, yes, we did have this expansion, and then we consolidated here, and then we manipulated and distributed back down into the expansion, and then we had a new low. So this is the range. So clearly this now has our thing about 2,900 as a low, as high as 3,400. And I did talk about this in terms of not too long ago, in terms of talking about us retracing. But now let me quickly move on. I know I'm spending a lot of time. I'm going to quickly move on to a bit more lower time frame tier. And I know I didn't say I know I said I wasn't going to do a bit more lower time frame, but I am going to do it on Ethereum. So on the daily here, same thing. And again, it's like, I think it's like, okay, price either it's going up in an uptrend, it's going down in a downtrend, or it's consolidating. And if you can apply an idea or apply a rule of thumb method to kind of try and understand why prices move like that and how it happens, then you're pretty set on the chart. So it's like, okay, if it's consolidating, it's the same idea of if you manipulate, you would dump, or if you manipulate upwards, you dump. So okay, we have that covered. So if you're not consolidating, what are you doing? You're going up or you're going down in an uptrend. So that's why I'm always drawing these ranges, and people who are in my charts, they always will see these ranges. But anyway, same thing here. Latest low. We had this uptrend coming from about this low up towards this high here. And I think I was drawing it on the 4 hour as well. I was talking about this actually quite a few streams ago. I was saying I'll be very surprised if we don't see a low at 3,400 area, and obviously we did do a low there and continued upwards. So again, latest low, latest high. So the general rule of thumb is, okay, cool. We have this expansion, good distance, quite quick, good move. Same as this, really good, speed, big candles here. Didn't take, a massive time. We didn't retrace or anything. And then obviously so on and so forth, we see this massive expansion, and then we come back into this general area, coming past this low, and then pumping. So same thing. And again, if you have kind of caught on to how I talk about the charts now, you will probably be able to assume as what I'm going to be saying about down here. Well, we have some gaps. We have gap down here, and we have our range. We have below 0.5 coming down towards obviously lower and lower. So I'm going to say the same thing. We have moved up, and on the lower time frames, we are starting to retrace a bit, because again, we are coming towards some higher time frame point of interest, and that's when you want to start looking for reversal. So example here, the kind of second last low before the all-time high, it's around about there. We've just about wicked past this. You can see we have this print here. We wicked past this. Now we're starting to come down. So we have reason, because price will go up until it doesn't. Price will go up until it finds reason to reverse and start to come downwards. So in this case, in my opinion, what that is are higher time frame or longer, higher time frame reasons. So example, a high, a longer term high, or a expansion. If you have a previous long-term expansion back here and price is retracing back up into there, you can go into the high time frames and find a retracement towards that area. But obviously, it's majoritively, old highs or old lows. So we've come to an old high. So if I would be seeing this on the charts, I'd be like, okay, cool. We've come to a old high. We then want to look at the lower time frames to see for a reversal. And I think we could be in the midst of potentially starting to do that. So I think, although we are coming down, I think we can come a bit deeper and retrace a bit further for Ethereum before we come upwards. And we're oh so close to 4,800. And I think it's going to be very hard for us to not see 4,800, considering the price action. Even if we come even deeper, we have so much expansion. Even here, because this isn't really a long-term low on the weekly. With this massive expansion, we are obviously coming up right now. On the daily, we have this expansion at about $4,000. So I think we have so much support below us where I don't think we'll necessarily see a reversal right here before we see all-time highs for Ethereum. So I think Ethereum can continue higher. So I'm not super negative, Nancy. And again, this is more actionable TA. This will happen, not in 4 months, 5 months. This will happen, very soon, I would say, for Ethereum. So I do think Ethereum can see higher than 4,868, but I do think we would expect retracing. So in Ethereum's case, I think we are retracing a bit deeper towards these areas. So again, same concept. We have a low to a high. We have reason for this to be a high. This is a old high. This is a long-term old high. I'm not sure on the weekly, actually. Actually, there we go. I can draw it better there. It's even better on the weekly. We can see weekly old high. Really good there. A smidgen of a high. We've tickled the high, and then we've come back down. So we have reason to suspect this could be a short-term high in this uptrend and reverse. Cool. So where would we come to? If we're in an uptrend, which we are for this whole period, and we have this massive expansion, my only assumption is going to be that we're going to find a higher low in this range coming towards about 3,900, 4,000. So that is that's kind of all I can really say about right now for Ethereum. I think we're going to be doing a new higher low. So I think as of right now, what I would leave off with Ethereum before I jump to Solana, I'll be really quick. I know I keep on saying this. We are going to be finished soon with the charts. We're going to be doing a higher low for Ethereum before, and I think we are going to be reaching for all-time highs. Is what I'll say. So,
can I add one thing?
Yes.
I said that we would bounce off $4,000 and then shoot up to break all-time highs. Does that sound like the musings of a madman, or does that sound reasonable?
In terms of our low, bouncing off 4,000 and then coming up to all-time high?
Yeah, getting somewhere near 4,000 and then flipping the bird and shooting up towards
You've said
5,000.
exactly what I've just said, basically. And I know that's very hard to understand because I've spoken for 10 minutes about Ethereum and it's very long-winded. But I can say what this is on the screen. I'll say it in 15 seconds. High or low at $4,072 or lower, and then pushing for all-time high. Exactly what you just said. So yeah, I would completely agree. About $4,000 or lower, somewhere in this range, especially in this expansion, we'll probably see a higher low, and then expand upwards towards all-time high. But when we start to get towards, this is like, obviously, yes, this high I drew on the weekly and the daily. Yes, it is a higher term in this uptrend. This 4,500 is going to be a high. This is especially going to be a high because you can see this massive move resulted at seeing this high at 4,700 resulted in a massive dump towards 3,500. So this is a very, I would assume, sensitive high, which it was, as we just saw. And then from there, we have all-time high. So when we get towards all-time high and get above it, it's going to be, it's like, okay, this isn't just, I think we're going to see a new higher low on the daily. This is like, okay, we're probably going to see a bigger retracement. So it's the same thing we've just seen on Bitcoin. Same thing I've been talking about. And I'm not saying we can't exactly see an all-time high again for Bitcoin for the third time, but the more highs and local higher lows we see, the easier it is to dump past those lows and start to come into a downtrend. So I think Bitcoin's very close to being in that scenario where we print past our most recent low, which was 116, 18, whatever. I can't remember exactly, or 112, I think it was. I can't remember what price. I'm not very remembering on our Bitcoin prices, but again, okay, when was the last long time low for Bitcoin? It was like let's say it was down here, which was, I don't know what price it was, and then we come up and then we've done a higher low. So that new low is now the low we want to aim for before we start to come to a downtrend. So the longer we spend in this high, the more higher time frame lows we do, the easier it's going to be for us to start to reverse on lower time frames, start to dump quite fast on the higher time frames, get past these lows and start to dump in Bitcoin. So that's it. So yeah, I mean, going back to your question.
I would add,
go on. Yeah, go on.
I would add two things. What's the bullish news for Bitcoin between now and October? None. end of September rate cuts. That's all we've got.
Yep.
What's the bullish news for Ethereum in the next 6 weeks is the ETH staking for ETFs. That's going to happen, right? So if you're going to pick one of the two to go up based on the macro, it would be Ethereum.
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing to ignite Bitcoin for the next 8 weeks because it's summer, trading volumes are down, there's no rate cuts till September. Everybody's now talking about the fact that we're not getting a Bitcoin strategic reserve. There's nothing to shoot it up. That doesn't mean we can't go back to 120,000, but it also doesn't mean we can't go back to 105,000. It's in its own little range. Ethereum has one more leg. Now, it might come before the dip, it might come after the dip, but I think it's got one more leg before we get to October. Yeah, we don't. Anyway, I'm going to shut up.
No, absolutely. You've said everything I would say. Absolutely. And there's some people who I know KB as well says this is like, okay, give me the chart concerning the news. And in this case, I would say that because again, just like as you just mentioned, same concept where okay, Bitcoin's in this phase where we've wicked past the high. Ethereum hasn't done that yet. Obviously Solana, all-time high. Like we're not near it. But local high. Solana's not really, it's not come up towards all-time highs or anything. But Ethereum's case and Ethereum versus Bitcoin anyway. Bitcoin has done that where it's wicked past its all-time high and then receded very fast. We saw it on the weekly. We have a tiny candle body, massive wick coming above the all-time high. So clearly, if you look at that on the lower time frames, you've wicked past the all-time high and then dumped, which is what we see, which obviously I'm going to talk about later on because I don't want to, spend another hour on the charts. So I will talk about that at 9 p.m. And I will look at SERP as well.
You've got 5 minutes on Solana.
Don't worry, I will spend not too long on Solana. So I'm gonna try and see if I can speed run Solana. So we have some highs over here. We talked about these highs on my stream. We've talked about 205.29, 206. We wicked towards those areas, 206.39, and then dumped. But it wasn't a dump really because we were in an uptrend. We had again same concept over and over and over again. I don't know where I think I might have drawn on the 4 hour actually. It was somewhere here maybe. Oh no, it was on. I think it's in one of these. Here it is. There we go. Same concept as I just talked about. Again, we are in an uptrend. Cool. We know what trend we're doing. We've come to a higher time frame point of interest. We have these equal lows here, or equal highs even, and we have this major high. We have these equal highs here. We just about wick past them. Okay, we have reason to have a high now. So what are we going to do? We're going to start to retrace. We have these expansions previous to our expansionary move in an uptrend. So now we've done a higher low. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to come upwards and come to do a new high. But the difference we have here is not only do we have a high, and again, we do have to get past these highs, but we want to stack our odds. If we go back to the daily, we have this longer, this is like the high, okay? We have these little highs, we have this high, with this high, we have, some of this high and this high, yeah, whatever. But this is the move. It's this move back upwards. This is the main high, and then this move down. Equally, we also have an order block here in this gap here because we have this gap and we print back up into it and then we start to dump and recover it. So we do have a bit more resistance cascading onto here. Not only that, we are also in this higher time frame retracement on this massive move back upwards in this uptrend above 0.5 where we want to see for sell. And you can see the balance between here. We have our shorter term, longer term, or shortish, long term, medium term, daily, whatever you want to coin it. We have our high above equilibrium. We have our lows below equilibrium. It might be a bit convenient there. It might be a bit coincidental, but whatever. But now if we look at here, okay, what have we done? We have that longer term high. We have this high we want to get above as well. And we are obviously in this area. We're also in this area, which is more optimum area. And what I've been saying on my charts as well for a long time, I don't care what we're doing right now. My longer term price for Solana, whether that be, whatever time frame that's going to be, was $220. That has been my target so far, and we've been consistently coming up to that area. But we can see from here we had that massive low. We had these highs here before we dumped, quite expansionary as well, and we've went past it. So now I'm going to jump onto the 4 hour, and now we have this move. But again, I'm not too worried because on the 4 hour, because it depends. Again, everything is dependent on what time frame you look at that, and the higher time frame plays more of a longer term role than the lower time frame. So if we might not print on the daily, but if we have enough reason for me to believe we could still go up on the 4 hour, that will precede the daily. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily daily is gospel no matter what you look at, but it's general rule of thumb. And I drew this last stream. I don't think I drew it Tuesday. I drew it So I do my streams at 9 till 10. So it was here. I drew this on my stream on Thursday. And what I was saying was, we have this massive expansion. We have this expansion on the 1 hour. I could expect us to come to about $184. I was saying we could go deeper than 276. So I'm not saying we're finished with this. But in this general move, especially since we're in this massive uptrend, and we have printed past a longer term high in this general 4 hour time frame perspective, this is like, I mean, again, this is dump stuff right here. Yeah, cool, absolutely. We've been in an uptrend. We've printed past a longer term high, and now we've started to have expansion downwards. Brilliant. But we have still had this expansion upwards, and it's been very, very rapid. So far anyway, we have seen a low at this area, which I was talking about, and now we're starting to go up again. But the difference is we are expanding downwards and retracing. So we are starting this kind of downtrend on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So I don't think, and again, this is why I was saying on my stream on Thursday, even though the low could be at around 184, I think we could go deeper towards 176 and whatnot, because we are having this expansion downwards, and because we have come to a longer term high, and I think we could start expanding downwards, which obviously we had already started doing in my stream on Thursday. So again, expansion, retracement, pretty good here. If you go to the 1 hour, we can see it in a bit more detail, and we can start drawing some of these ranges and whatnot, and getting towards these lows. We just about nearly hit that 0.5 before we started to dump again. Same thing here. Expansion downwards, we are kind of slowly retracing upwards, probably kind of shimmying back upwards towards $190, $192. So we are in this downtrend. I think we will continue this, but again, we have to pay attention to longer time frame as well. And on the daily, even though we didn't print above the high, we still wicked above it. So I do think we are having a bit more of a negative move on Solana, and we are starting to come down. I would like to see how we respond from $176 and what we do from there. Definitely. I think, because again, this low can range in between 0.5, or we could wick past 1. It doesn't necessarily mean, anything bad. And especially on the daily, it's like, okay, we didn't print a high, but we haven't printed a new low below 173. So as long as we're not massively dumping and printing past $173, we're technically not in that full downtrend yet. So I do definitely think if we wick past this, we find support in this $182, $176 area, we can still push up again for Solana to get back above this local high, and continue to push up towards a bit more of a higher time frame resistance at about $220. So there you go. That's it.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I'm not gonna add anything to that because we're gonna run out of time.
Yeah.
So it is 1:23. We've probably got about 5 minutes left. Yikes, do you want to say anything about what the Oracle has talked about, or is there anything you want to add? We need to pick the winner of our YouTube questions, which I think I know which one I'm going to go for, but we'll all have to vote. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, really. I really like the everything, how you explain all this stuff.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
It was really good.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I just hope because I know some of it is very could be a bit foreign, and I just want to kind of, especially in the when we talked about Bitcoin and looking at the reversals and the retracements, I wanted to explain it very linearly, because I know it can be confusing for people. So I'm glad it came across that way, and I appreciate it.
No, it was good.
Really
Very, very
Thank
good.
you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Can I read out the well, actually, before I do any of you have any of the questions that I've read out? Do any of you have a standout question before I tell you the one I think we should pick?
I haven't read the chat once because I've been talking about the chart, so I don't know.
My favorite question, because it was a deep question, is the key to the mass adoption of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana hidden in dollar-pegged coins and yield-bearing stablecoins? That was my favorite question because it was really deep. And my laughy question was, would Kamala Harris have met Putin? So they're my two choices for the questions of all the ones that have been put into chat. Which one do you want to pick? The thought-provoking one? Should we give that person the
I think so.
prize?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say obviously I have, again, when I saw Mary's question, I read it, I was like, that's a good question. I wanted to say it, but I thought, well, I'll save it for when we do this. But I don't want to vote on it too much because I haven't read the full chat yet across all the streams, because again, I've been doing the chart and whatnot, and there's been quite a bit of chat as I've been doing the chart. So Mary's question was good as I saw it, but there might be more questions I've missed, which could be better.
There is good. Thomas asked a good question. Hidden Villain Bear asked some good questions as well. Kishan asked a good question. Danny asked a good question about Bitcoin dominance. but that was the standout one for me. So, are we all in agreement that we should give it to the?
Yep.
To that question, what do you think, Yikes?
Can we choose? Can we give like both of them something? Both of them are good.
The one about Putin.
Yeah, let's do like this. You gave to. How do you distribute it usually?
What I do is they send me their Solana address, and I send them the Syrup USDC. And I think it was Hidden who asked the question about Putin, and I send it him on a different exchange that I can't mention the name of. But that's how I distribute it. So I tell you what we'll do. All right, we'll do that. We'll send $10 of Syrup USDC to Hidden, and we'll send $10 of Syrup USDC to Mary. We'll do that, Yikes.
There's a code. There's a Binance code for 25 Syrup. You can check it in a group for one person.
Okay.
If any of them using it, you just share this code. If not,
All
you
right.
can claim it yourself and then send.
No, we're not going to do that.
So,
They're both in. They're both in what do you call it? They're both in the Telegram group, so I can contact them there. Ice, is it a good time to swap Sol to Bitcoin?
Yeah, I typed out my response because you guys were talking. I didn't want to
Okay.
interrupt it. First
Right.
question, but I wrote it out here.
Okay. Will
Again,
you
not
hit
financial
send on
advice.
that then?
This isn't financial advice. But, yeah.
What does that even? I can't even read that.
Do you want me
Well, it's red on a white background, so my eyes are currently on bleeding.
I should just read it out. I should just say it. Everyone stop. I'll
read
just say
it out.
Fine. So he obviously said swap Sol to Bitcoin.
Oh, there we go.
So based on what I've covered, and again, I do want to go on some lower time frames. I will be streaming later on for a bit more detail on Bitcoin and stuff. So I do want to wait for that. But from what I have so far, I would wait a tiny bit longer. I think Bitcoin can continue to fall a bit more. I do want to look at it again, like I said, because I haven't looked at the lower time frame today in this stream. But I think Solana could continue to go higher a bit more anyway in what we're doing. So I think maybe wait it a bit longer to see how prices go, especially as Bitcoin has these massive expansion downwards. I wouldn't swap just yet. But I do need to look at. I haven't looked at the lower time frame Bitcoin yet, in a while, since Thursday anyway. So I actually don't know what the scenario is. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Right.
That's
It is now 28 minutes past 1. So should we wrap things up?
Yeah, we can do. I've said my piece.
You're all spent. Do you want to do an outro, Yikes, or do you want me to do the outro?
I want you to do this.
Okay.
Always you.
We'll try and do another one of these. We've called it Market Vision there, but I don't know why I've called it Market Watch on YouTube, but it's Market Vision. We'll speak to Yikes, and if you like this format, we'll try and do some more of these again, and maybe change the format so it's a little bit different. Maybe we'll do 2 charts or 3 charts. Maybe we'll do something a bit different. But it's been good fun. The last time we did this was with Yikes was I think last year. I think it was last summer, maybe, Yikes. So a long time ago. But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Yikes. Thank you, Oracle, for your amazing charts.
Thank you.
And we'll try and arrange another one again.
Absolutely.
That's my outro done.
100%. Concise. I like it. It's good. I like it. Straight to the point. I guess I'll say thank you for everyone who joined the streams across the board, YouTube, Binance Square, Binance Live, wherever you are. Thank you for sticking around and watching the stream and bearing with all my words, which spew out my mouth about the charts. And if you enjoyed, obviously, follow Yikes, follow us, subscribe everywhere. If you want more content. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. And all I have to say, I'm streaming later on. I'm going a bit lower time frame on Bitcoin, so if you are interested, I will be doing that as well. But other than that, that's it from me.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yikesgg.